about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOCDALI. So in the last week or so, we have seen what seemed to be a general calm and progress to an implosion based on this feud between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Some people are finding it extremely entertaining. Others are finding it very perplexing, very uncomfortable. And so what exactly is going on? I mean, we have two men who are very successful, right? One is the commander-in-chief, the most powerful man in the world. The other one is the richest man in the world. They might have maybe behind closed doors had, some, breakdowns or cries or some moments of emotion, but they made it to where they were being level-headed. And then all of a sudden, we have this back and forth, almost like a Hollywood couple breakup type of thing. This is, I think there's a lot more to this than meets the eye. Seeing the back and forth like this, not very presidential and not very entrepreneurish. And so what I think is going on is multifaceted. All right. So first, we have Donald Trump and Elon Musk finding it very advantageous to join together. And boy, did they make a team. They made a pretty formidable team. Whether one helped the other, that's for the political analysts to decide. But seeing, people work together always makes you stronger. Trump gets into the White House and says, look, Elon Musk knows what he's doing as it pertains to money. So let's get his input on Doge. Now, Elon Musk was never supposed to be giving, shall we say, advice on foreign policy. I mean, that's not his forte. His forte is money, running a business, running employees. And so he gave advice on how to stop waste, fraud, and abuse. Very helpful advice. The mannerisms were, debatable, with the chainsaw and firing federal workers who wanted to stay and not work remote. But he found and worked in record time, sacrificing his businesses to help Trump and help the American people find waste, fraud, and abuse. We knew that tenure was going to end July 4th. It ended a little sooner in May. Okay. But while I'm watching this, I'm like, you have two alphas. You have two people who love the spotlight. How is this going to happen? How is this going to move forward? Is Elon Musk going to go off into the sunset and fix his businesses? Or has his itch gotten scratched where he wants to keep that itch scratched from a political standpoint? Does he really, really love politics? Did his sacrificing his, Tesla stock, sacrificing time away from his businesses to help Trump allow him to gain some political cred so he could later be in politics? Is this something that Elon Musk has been missing? And does he want it back? Well, where is Elon Musk's platform? X. And so he felt like he wanted to say something about the bill. Now, I don't know much about what's in the bill. I personally like smaller bills. We need to fix the border wall, Okay, we need to build our hospital infrastructure. Let's do that. We need to stop junk food being in SNAP benefits, and not that would be, I think, a part of this bill, but we need to have able-bodied people with no kids who are just sitting at home collecting money, have work requirements, whatever. Introduce those bills, get them passed, we could be moving on. And so, maybe there is a bunch of stuff where senators like, well, if you want me to vote the bill, then you need to supply this to my state. And this is why I can't stand politics. And so if Elon Musk doesn't like the bill, it's going to be, that's not a big shock, where he's like, look, I don't like it. There's a lot of pork. But usually somebody like Elon Musk would talk to Trump about it. Okay, he has Trump's ear. Yeah, I mean, did anything happen? Did anything, and everybody can say, well, they're making fun of each other. So that, listen, everybody's made fun of Trump. I mean, look at Vance. I think it called Trump names, and Vance is now Trump's vice president. I mean, these are two individuals who have been around for a very long time and are very big in their empires. This doesn't rattle him. But now it's gotten to the point where Trump is insulting Elon Musk and talking about all the government breaks that Elon Musk got and that they should stop those. And then Elon Musk is saying Trump is in the Epstein files. And this has just taken a very weird turn. So what's the game? There's always, you don't have two people like this. You don't have a Donald Trump and you don't have an Elon Musk playing games just to play games. You don't have them just get emotional. There's something going on. This might be a fact-finding mission. Elon Musk may be trying to look at what sort of political career could he have. He couldn't run for president because he wasn't born in the United States. But what sort of political career or what does he want in politics? Remember, he's very dynamic thinking. I mean, he's had he has a lot of baby mamas, a lot of babies. He's had a lot of businesses. I mean, he doesn't just stick to one thing. He likes variety in his life. So what is it that he's testing? Who is he trying to build up politically? And it sounds like, which we spoke about years ago, do we kind of need a non-Democrat, non-Republican party that's non-independent, that's of the common sense, that gets rid of all the fringes, where it's us Republicans and Democrats who kind of think alike, and could form a party that isn't so fringy and because the Democrats are looking to rebrand. And I know the Republicans are trying to figure out how do we be the party of the tax cuts and not the spending. And so maybe that's an ambition of Elon Musk. So he's trying to see if he could be the one to create the new party. Meanwhile, Trump's got 70,000 things on his desk. Okay, he doesn't need to get into a feud with Elon Musk. But then again, Trump doesn't lose. He wants to win. So I think a lot of this is play. I think there's some ulterior motives going on, but it's making us all uneasy until we figure out why this is happening. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Hi, guys. Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms. Whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping, addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
At Hotshot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hotshot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hotshot Secret, powered by science.
Considered by most, optimized curcumin is one of the few bioavailable and highly absorbable curcumin products on the market. Hi, I'm Dr. Mitch. Since most chronic diseases have inflammation, our optimized curcumin seems to be a perfect addition to any nutritional program. It makes sense to me that preventing or reducing inflammation is a key component to our overall health. The Mayo Clinic found that curcumin can decrease swelling and inflammation, has antioxidant properties, and research suggests that curcumin can prevent cancer, or at least slow the spread of cancer, and in many instances make chemotherapy more effective. It protects our healthy cells even from radiation. TotalWellness.com, where we help you to look good, feel good, and enjoy total wellness.
Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Dali, 1-877 DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to you all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube. Click like and subscribe. So, macular degeneration and Ozempic is another risk, which means this is a second reported cause of blind condition that has been related to those who take these weight loss drugs. And this is very, very concerning. So one of the latest studies is looking at macular degeneration in those who are taking glucagon-like peptide-1 receptor agonists, such as Ozempic or Mounjaro. People have been using them to treat obesity who don't have diabetes. And even though there's been a lot of evidence looking at, wow, if you lose the weight, you lower your cancer risk, you lower your heart risk, right? We don't have the studies showing what happens when you have to go off of it, the rebound weight. And what about those who, okay, might be getting the good benefits, but what about those issues with their eyes? A study by Canadian scientists published in JAMA Ophthalmology found that after 6 months of using these, are associated with double the risk of older people with diabetes developing neovascular age-related macular degeneration compared with similar patients not taking the drugs. Now, the academics at University of Toronto, and this is being reported by The Guardian, examined medical data for more than 1 million Ontario residents who had diabetes, which is, by the way, an easier group to study because many of the people with weight loss using these drugs only started it in the last couple years. Yet those with diabetes have been using it for longer. So you have a much larger data set. So they looked at Ontario residents who had a diagnosis of diabetes and identified 46,334 patients with an average age of 66 who were prescribed the medications. Nearly all of them were taking semaglutide, 2.5 were taking lisexenatide. The study did not exclude any specific brands, but Wegovy was only approved in Canada in November 2021, primarily for weight loss. It's assumed the semaglutide was in the Ozempic form that was for diabetes. So each patient on semaglutide or lisexenatide was matched with 2 patients who also had diabetes but weren't taking the drugs, who shared similar characteristics with age, gender, health conditions. Not that that means biologically they're identical, but it is a type of control we use. And the researchers then compared how many patients developed neovascular age-related macular degeneration over 3 years. The study found that those who were taking the Ozempic, generic semaglutide, or lisexenatide for at least 6 months had twice the risk of developing macular degeneration compared with those who were not. Patients who were taking the medication for more than 30 months had 3 times the risk. Diabetic patients who were older, who had a stroke or even a higher risk of developing macular degeneration, had even a higher risk. So, these GLP-1 receptor agonists have effects on the eye. And when you have diabetes, we urge you to have very aggressive eye follow-ups and eye exams, because diabetes alone can cause retinopathy. You could bleed, affecting the retina because the blood vessels, how I kind of look at it is you're so sugary that the blood vessels need to draw on water to try to neutralize the osmolarity. And the little blood vessels could only take so much that they pop. Also, when you have diabetes, your blood vessels aren't the strongest, so they don't have their integrity as much as they need to. And so you'll see people develop, and there's a whole variety of other mechanisms for diabetic retinopathy, but those with diabetes are at risk of going blind. I have a family member, though, with macular degeneration, non-diabetic, but whose macula, or the center part of their vision, is now gone. They could see peripherally because of bleeding and degeneration of the macula. And it's just heartbreaking to see somebody active who could probably live well into their hundreds now struggle with eyesight. And so, and never took these drugs. So when I see somebody healthy have something like this, it's heartbreaking to think that we have healthy individuals that are taking medications to fit into a bikini this summer that don't realize that there could be these pretty severe side effects. There's the other, I have another friend who went blind because of another eye condition that caused them to sadly lose their sight. And so I want to talk about that. He's young, and he was taking Ozempic for, sadly, he was taking it for, weight loss. And seeing his eyesight, I think it affected his retinal nerve. And we spoke about this last year, where there were cases of blindness that were related to nerve, how this is affecting the nerve, and the debilitating eye, shall we say? I think it's like non-arteritic anterior ischemic. I got to look it up. I apologize. NION. It's non-arteritic. Okay. Non-arteritic anterior ischemic optic neuropathy. So it's affecting the optic nerve, not necessarily affecting the blood vessels. However, indirectly, you're losing blood flow to the optic nerve, and then it causes a loss of vision in one eye. And I have a friend who currently has that because, again, taking the medication for weight loss. This is reminding us that, look, okay, we don't want everybody to just stop taking their weight loss drugs. But if you don't have diabetes and you're trying to lose weight the easy way, it's not that easy when you lose your eyesight. And before you venture onto these medications, and I know a lot of people are slowly starting to get them because insurance companies are offering them because the rates are going up. And I think certain states want their Medicaid to cover it. So we're getting a lot of people. And mind you, I would love to cure obesity, but that's not how you're going to cure obesity. These drugs aren't going to cure obesity because you can't stay on them long term. And after a while, they stop working. I can't tell you how many people said after a while they just stopped losing weight, so they couldn't keep paying $1,000 a month, and then they had to go off of it, and the weight came back. These are not medications where we have enough studies to tell us that you could be on them long term, which means this is not a cure for weight loss. Why were we skinny in the 60s and in the 50s? Well, because we walked more. Okay, we didn't always drive or Uber everywhere. We had to walk to a bus stop. We walked to work. We carried our groceries. We took stairs. We didn't always take the elevators. We didn't always eat processed food. You know, if we snacked on an apple, on a piece of celery, not Kit Kats and Snickers and M&Ms. All right, we, surfed and biked ride and also, I hate to say it, we smoked. Smoking kept people's weight down. I don't want ever anybody going back to smoking, but when people got hungry, they stuck a cigarette in their mouth. Now we're trying to swap that cigarette with something safer, but are these weight loss drugs safer? The risk of blindness is small. It doesn't mean all of you on these drugs are going to go blind. But are you seeing an eye doctor regularly? Are you monitoring your vision? By the way, when this NION happens, it's sudden. Ischemic optic neuropathy, where you lose flow to the optic nerve and the optic nerve shuts down. It's permanent. Happens in a heartbeat. So for those of you going, you know what? I lost a little weight, but it costs a lot of money, and I don't know if I could be on this long term. Talk to your medical provider about a safer way to do things. And we're going to hear more cases of blindness and blind issues and macular degeneration because now we have so many people on it. I bet there's more people on these drugs than are going to the gym. So the numbers are going to go up. And then what's going to happen? People are going to freak out. They're going to get scared. Insurance is like, well, I'm not going to pay for it. And now everybody's going to gain their weight back. So talk to your medical provider about the safest way to proceed with these drugs. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
Stiction.
engine oil can break down under extreme heat, leaving behind varnish, a carbon-based deposit that creates drag on the engine's moving parts. This sticky friction is stiction. Symptoms include a rough idle and the loss of fuel economy and performance. Hot Shot Secret Stiction Eliminator is formulated to be left in the engine. It works as you drive.
Stiction Eliminator is available at truck stops, Tractor Supply, O'Reilly's Auto Parts, and online at hotshotsecret.com.
Back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So the life of Billy Joel is a fascinating one. Sleeping with his best friend's wife, band falling apart, 2 suicide attempts. Wow, tragic. Just tragic. And we're going to be hearing a little bit more about it in a new documentary. I guess it's called Billy Joel and So It Goes. And from what we understand, Billy Joel in this film discusses how he betrayed his best friend, commits suicide. Actually, I think it was the best friend that found him in a coma, took him to a hospital and saved his life. But wow. And so I think his best friend was, I'm trying to remember last name. I think it was Small. I want to John Small. That's it, John Small. Now I didn't really follow Billy Joel's career until the 80s. I think Uptown Girl was my first exposure to Billy Joel, and then I was like, oh gosh, he made a lot of good music. You know, I'm running out, or I don't even know the words to the song, but he had like an old. I mean, you know, so then I, was like, oh, wow. And then, he did songs in the 70s. He spanned multiple generations of blessing us all with his talent. And now he's struggling with a brain condition, hydrocephalus, normal pressure hydrocephalus, which could cause memory loss, cognitive issues. And so we hope he does well. We pray for him. But apparently he was a part of a band, I think, called Attila. You guys might know more about this. This predated me. And his bandmate was John Small. They formed this band early in their 20s. This is being reported by The Independent. And he, I think, had to move in with them at one point. And then from what I understand, he fell in love, or he ended up sleeping with John Small's wife, had an affair with the wife. And then they actually had a son. So he felt so bad that he wrecked he said, I felt very, very guilty about it. They had a child. I felt like a homewrecker. I was just in love with the woman, and I got punched in the nose, which I deserved. John was very upset. I was upset. So the ensuing fight resulted in the breakup of the band, plus their relationship, him and his best friend, for some time. So Billy Joel began drinking heavily. He said he had no place to live. He was sleeping in laundromats, was depressed. He said, I think to the point of almost being psychotic. He said, so I figured that's it. I don't want to live anymore. Imagine if Billy Joel killed himself before, I mean, who knew what his life had in store for him? Thank God he survived. He said, I was in a lot of pain, and it was sort of like, why hang out? Tomorrow is going to just be like today is, and today sucks. So he said, I just thought I'd end it all. Now, I believe how he committed suicide, one attempt was with sleeping pills that I believe he got from his sister, who was a medical assistant. This is according to CNN. That ended up in him being in a coma for days. The second attempt, he drank lemon pledge, which was a furniture cleaner. And his former bandmate and the husband of the woman he had the affair with, John Small, found him, took him to the hospital, saved his life. And so, you look at this and you're like, wow. So one thing about singers and artists and really brilliant ones is they can taste the octaves, more than other people. So they might be able to hit some of the most amazing artistic peaks, but they also hit the valleys. And so there's some people that circle the equator. And they're like, like I was working with somebody at the EPA, and it was his birthday. I go, Richard, it's your birthday. It's like, yeah. I go, but it's your birthday. Are you going to do anything that's fun? Same day. Wasn't depressed about it, just circled the equator. As opposed to other people where, they are able to hit that high note, look at music and go, this is what needs to be done. This is what needs to be drawn. This is what needs to be painted. And so the more artistic individuals, the more likely they have more emotional, shall we say, wavelengths. I watch this show Below Deck, and it's interesting how the chefs seem to struggle sometimes the most emotionally than other individuals on the ship. Why? Well, because these chefs are artists. They're amazing. What they are able to do and what they are able to tap in on their minds and be able to create, it's artistry. But then they also seem to be a little, more on edge, more emotional about things. I don't want to stereotype, but anytime a patient would come into my office being very, having that emotional fragility, or if I thought they were bipolar, where they have these peaks and valleys, and the first thing I asked them was, what is your art? What are you good at? And 99.999% of them had something. They were singers. They were dancers. They were artists. They were, you asked me, what's my art? I'm like, nothing. I could watch TV pretty well. I could play a mean Candy Crush. But, somebody who really has a gift, it's a gift, but it could also be a curse. But the other, concept about the other thing is, here's Billy Joel, and he's at his friend's house. His friends are allowing him to crash with them. And then he falls for the wife and sleeps with his best friend's wife. Not the coolest. And pretty admirable for him to talk about it. Okay, because that was a pretty bad thing to do. And he obviously remorsed, felt sorry. I don't know if he ever became friends again with his best friend. But, to take a life, a band, a career and mess it up, for a 3-minute sexual encounter or whatever. I see a lot of people do that. Is it because they want the conquer, Rain? Is it because they're jealous? And that's a whole different subject for a different day. Sleeping with your best friend's girl or your best friend's guy. Why does that happen? I saw that a lot with women, where if you had a boyfriend, maybe that's why I wasn't really friends with girls a lot, because they would start flirting with my man, and I don't need the whole Jolene type thing. Jolene. I don't need that where, don't be taking my man. I barely was able to hold him and get him as it is. I could lose him by a thread, stay back. But maybe it's because there's people that just don't get attention. And so your best friend's boyfriend is going to be nice to your best friend, and maybe they take that attention the wrong way. Or they're jealous of you. And so they want to, conquer. who you love. Maybe they only are with you because they need to feel their life is better than yours. And once your life becomes better, they need to ruin that. None of those people are friends, though, by the way. Those aren't friends. But, this concept of, somebody moving in. Remember, there was a Ukrainian woman right at the start of the war who moved into a family in England, and they sheltered her, gave her a home. They had, I think, also a kid, and the Ukrainian woman ends up starting an affair with the husband, and then the wife gets kicked out. People are like, wait a second, I thought we want to help people. Is this what's going to happen if we invite somebody into our home? And what's interesting is I hear from some of my friends how their spouses don't like them talking to people of the opposite sex. They don't like to, they're like, gosh, they're really controlling. But it's because stories like this happen. I'm not justifying that. I'm very grateful my husband lets me talk to whoever, and I let him talk to whoever. But because there's no way we would cheat on each other. But the fact that these things happen, when you feel, you feel like, well, I don't want them to fall in love with somebody else. If they want or looking for it, they're going to anyway. 1-877 Doc Daliah. Don't go away.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. We've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles, along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
This statement has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt, your shoulder hurts, and your back. Oh my God, your back. They're constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore, am I right? Well, here is something you haven't tried. Pain Absolve. Pain Absolve is not available in any drugstore. The only way to get it is by calling today. We're so confident that it will work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase. No prescription needed, and best of all, each purchase comes with a money-back guarantee. Call now to find out how you can get Pain Absolve and get rid of your pain. Call 800-358-9179. That's 800-358-9179. 800-358-9179. Call today, 800-358-9179.
All right, we are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. So remember how California did a ban on products having certain dyes? They actually kind of trailblazed on that, and now RFK Jr. with Make America Healthy Again is trying to nationally to remove a lot of food additives and things that have been carcinogenic in animals from our food supply, which I really commend him on. But at one point, I think California passed a bill where certain foods had to alert and warn consumers that there could be something bad in the package. And I think it passed, but I don't know where it went. I don't know, if you buy a package in of, let's say, Doritos or whatever, what it says. Well, in Texas, they're looking to take this another step where if you do have junk food that may have at least one ingredient that is not really healthy for human consumption, they want to put a warning label on that junk food. So New York Post is reporting that popular snacks like Skittles, M&Ms, and Doritos, and soft drinks like Mountain Dew could soon be labeled not recommended for human consumption. The state legislature and their majority GOP is moving forward with a bill that would require warning labels on food sold in the state that contain synthetic dyes, bleached flour, and other additives that are banned or restricted in other countries. The proposed measure, known as Senate Bill 25, mandates that in 2027, starting in 2027, manufacturers that include the contested ingredients, which have been banned in other countries, should have clear labels that say warning. This product contains an ingredient that is not recommended for human consumption by the appropriate authority in Australia, Canada, the European Union, or the UK. Now, this is something that is it's huge. All right, good and bad. On one end, I think it's really, really hard, to make a product advertise against themselves. And, I know there's been people saying, well, do we have the proof that this is not good for human consumption? On the other end, it's subjective. There is no nutritional benefit to eating those things. And so, do we have a right to warn people about how this probably is not fit or recommended, shall we say, for human consumption? We're putting a lot of crap in our bodies. And because it's sold at a store, and because it's packaged, and because the FDA allows it, we think it's fun. People are eating donuts and ding-dongs and cookies and chips and Mountain Dew and diet drinks. Diet drinks just led to one woman's liver failure. She drank 3 a day, which doesn't seem like a lot to somebody who has maybe 1 in the morning, 1 maybe at lunchtime, and then 1 at night. It's a lot for a human body because apparently it put her into liver failure. And so, how do we do this? Because on the flip side, you would then need to put that warning on everything. On a bottle of Jack Daniels. On a bottle of Grey Goose vodka. Not recommended for human consumption. So it looks to me now that what Texas wants to do is these are ingredients that other countries have already banned. And if America still has these ingredients in the food, people need to be aware. I mean, look at how with RFK Jr., and I know there's a lot of critics out there, but one thing I think that is amazing is look at how we're finally having the conversation and we're looking at our food differently. I don't want my food to be fluorescent yellow. I don't want it to glow in the dark. I don't want to be able to see it across a room and be blinding. And I don't want it in my body if that food coloring or that food dye is dangerous or has potential danger. So how do you feel about certain foods with the label, this is not recommended for human consumption? Is that a good idea or a bad idea? 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. How we're going to fight obesity and how we're going to fight poor eating and malnutrition because we're spending our money or our SNAP benefits on junk food and not healthy food is going to be multifold. If you look at what happened with smoking, all right, the campaign over and over again reiterated this is bad. Okay, these hurt you. The cigarettes hurt you. Now, we forced cigarette makers to advertise against themselves, but product warnings, I think, are justified. I think you should. If you have something, you have to notify a consumer. So if there is tobacco, or if tobacco-related products cause cancer, I think you do have to make people aware. The average person doesn't read the packaging, but if you have something that could cause cancer, yes, I think, same thing with alcohol. A certain amount of this could cause you to drunk drive, you to lose control of your thinking, seize, etc. But then, does everything need warnings? What we did with smoking is, seeing people who had trachs and I think, people know smoking's bad. Are they still smoking out there? Yes. But at least we did our part from an educational standpoint. Now, there was a lawsuit I heard years ago where somebody sued their doctor. I need to look up this case. So this is what I heard, okay? And I don't have the case in front of me. But what I heard is somebody sued their doctor because that patient got lung cancer. And they felt their doctor was liable because the doctor never told them to stop smoking. And in the courtroom, they were like, what everybody knows, it's all over the TV. Smoking's bad. Smoking's dangerous. And the defense said, or the prosecuting side said, yeah, but they don't have a TV. You were their doctor. You were supposed to tell them not to smoke. Because you didn't, there was then liability. So now, when you go to the doctor, all you hear is no smoking, no smoking. It's all over your paperwork. Okay, so that there is never any sort of question that somebody didn't address it. So a doctor not saying something was enough to cause a lawsuit. So this could be a little perplexing, because does a doctor then need to say no Doritos, no Skittles, no candy, no alcohol, no junk food, no this, no that? Are there going to be lawsuits where, well, the doctor didn't tell me to not eat that particular food? So I'm noticing on electronic software that already in the template, we recommend a balanced diet of fruits and vegetables and lean meats and fiber. Right? And so you're starting to see recommending balanced diet, recommending exercise, so that they don't get in trouble for not telling you, just in case somebody goes, well, I didn't know. I don't have a TV. We're eating a lot of crap. We're exposed to a lot of crap, and we don't even know what the hell is in our food. And our food is awfully brighter than food in other countries. Why? Because other countries have banned the stuff. So I don't think I'm that much against people learning that they're about to eat something that other countries have banned because of health risks. I think people need to be aware of that. And let's get it the hell out of our products. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
Much of neck and spinal pain is caused by the compression of spinal nerves, according to Dr. Jeff Fisher, an Irvine, California-based chiropractor with more than 30 years of experience. This compression can stem from a chronic condition, acute injury, or simply aging. Traction is the most effective way to relax, stretch, and decompress the spine and surrounding muscles and ligaments of the neck and back, Dr. Fisher explains. His inventions, the Fisher Traction Neck Device and Fisher Traction Low Back Device, safely separates bones to eliminate pain and restore function so the body can heal naturally. The Fisher Traction devices are designed to restore the natural curves of the neck and back and gently induce hydration and motion into the spine with the use of a release strap. The devices are convenient and easy to use in the comfort of your home, and Dr. Fisher's series of YouTube videos provides helpful videos and detailed instructions. For more information, visit FisherTraction.com.
Radio. It's on.